The Epstein files have been released.
Breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
The battle over the so-called Epstein files.
What's interesting is we're all waiting for bombshells, we're all waiting for juicy stuff, and that's not what's in this binder.
The Epstein files have been released, or at least that's what they want you to believe. The Department of Justice called this phase 1 of the document dump.
Phase 1 of the Jeffrey Epstein files came out.
But there's a much bigger problem. A new claim suggests the FBI has been hiding key information about Epstein's network, and now the pressure is on.
Today, the White House made a big show of handing a bunch of conservative influencers binders labeled the Epstein Files, Phase 1.
Attorney General Pam Bondi made a shocking announcement. She was promised the full set of Epstein-related files.
You have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick.
But just hours before the release, a source revealed the FBI was still holding back thousands of pages of documents.
Bondi basically says, I asked you for the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. I received 200 pages of documents.
This wasn't just a minor oversight, it was a direct violation of orders. Bondi immediately sent a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel demanding the full Epstein files by 8 a.m. the next morning.
Bondi is asking for thousands of additional pages. She tells the FBI she wants those pages delivered to her office today by 8 a.m.
No redactions. No missing evidence, no excuses. What happened next was even more suspicious. Outside the White House, several political influencers were seen holding binders labeled Epstein Files Phase 1.
Several conservative media figures were given early access during a visit to the White House, showing off binders and posing for pictures.
But when the documents were finally released, something was off. The files contained nothing groundbreaking. Mostly flight logs, redacted address books, and evidence lists that raised more questions than answers. The most anticipated revelations? Nowhere to be found. Among the documents was a completely blacked out list of Epstein's masseuses, a term often used to recruit young victims. 254 entries fully redacted. A separate log revealed items seized from Epstein's properties, including cash-stuffed envelopes, a set of handcuffs, and multiple VHS tapes labeled girl pics. What's on those tapes? And more importantly, why haven't they been released? The flight log showed some familiar names: Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, Alec Baldwin, even Michael Jackson.
Newly released Justice Department documents reveal high-profile names in Jeffrey Epstein's contact list, including Alec Baldwin, Mick Jagger, and Michael Jackson. Attorney General Pam Bondi calls this Phase 1, hinting at more revelations to come. Former President Trump, whose ex-wife Ivana and daughter Ivanka also appear in the document.
But these names were already known. If this is just Phase 1, what else is in those thousands of hidden pages? Former FBI agent Colin Schmidt weighed in, saying that if the FBI deliberately withheld documents,
The AG has given the FBI in New York to turn over everything in their possession. But let me back up for just a second. The Attorney General, you recall last night, called it breaking news. She promised that we would get the Epstein files today, and while that turned out technically to be true,
heads should roll. Obstruction of justice, immediate terminations, criminal charges. So why did this happen, and who is protecting whom? This isn't just about Epstein. The release of these files is part of a broader push for government transparency. The Trump administration has vowed to declassify long-hidden records, including documents related to JFK, RFK, and MLK's assassinations. Could the Epstein case expose more than just a trafficking ring? Could it unravel a web of corruption at the highest levels? The public was promised answers, but the Phase 1 release has only fueled more speculation. Some are now wondering if the missing files contain direct evidence of Epstein's clients and enablers. Could these documents prove that Epstein wasn't acting alone? That his network stretched into the highest levels of politics, business, and royalty? FBI Director Kash Patel has since vowed to leave no stone unturned, promising that anyone who hides information will be held accountable.
Epstein Files: Pam Bondi sends fiery note to Kash Patel accusing FBI of withholding docs.
But skeptics aren't convinced. The files already released were mostly documents that had been seen before. Many believe this is just another attempt to bury the truth in plain sight. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most outspoken accusers, has repeatedly claimed that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were trafficking young girls to powerful men.
That's when I was instructed to get undressed and have with Jeffrey Epstein while Ghislaine Maxwell was participating as well.
Ghislaine Maxwell, longtime companion of Jeffrey Epstein, has been found guilty of conspiring with him to recruit, groom, and abuse teenage girls.
She directly accused Prince Andrew, forcing him into a highly publicized legal settlement. But no other high-profile names have been charged. If Epstein's network was as vast as suspected, why has no one else faced consequences? The newly released flight logs detail some of the passengers who flew with Epstein between 1991 and 2006. Some of the biggest names in politics, entertainment, and finance appear in these documents. But here's the problem. Many of these logs had already been made public years ago. If this release was supposed to reveal shocking new information, why are we just seeing old evidence recycled? And then there's the address book, long rumored to contain the names of Epstein's associates. It has finally been released, but with redactions. The only thing we know for sure, the list contains hundreds of names, from Hollywood elites to Wall Street billionaires. The Department of Justice claims that more documents will be released in the coming weeks, but here's the issue. Many people don't trust the system anymore. They've seen years of delays, excuses, and secrecy, and every time new evidence comes out, it seems to raise more questions than answers. If the government is truly committed to transparency, then why are so many pages still hidden? Here's another question no one is asking. Where are the videos? We know Epstein had security cameras all over his properties. His victims have testified that he recorded encounters with high-profile guests. So where are these tapes? Were they destroyed? Are they being hidden? Or worse, are they being used for leverage? And then there's the missing financial records. Epstein was a financier, but where did his money actually come from? He had no publicly known hedge fund, yet he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Was he just a front for something bigger? And if so, who was funding him? One thing is clear, the Epstein case is far from over. These documents are just the beginning. There are still thousands of pages missing. There are still names that haven't been exposed. There are still secrets waiting to be uncovered. And the biggest question of all, will we ever know the full truth? If the FBI truly has nothing to hide, then why have they withheld so much information? Why was Pam Bondi forced to demand documents that should have been released without question? This is a story that isn't going away. The people want answers. And as long as powerful names are protected, the public's demand for the truth will only grow louder. This is just the beginning. The next phase of the Epstein files could be the most explosive yet. Will it reveal the names the world has been waiting for? Will it expose the real power players behind Epstein's operation? Or will the truth be buried once again? Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.